Did you just burp?
I did. I was like, I wonder if Lindsay can hear that.
I can hear that.
I burped without burping.
That was fantabulous. Okay, hold on. Now we're going live on Facebook. I guess my timeline would be good. Is Jory so excited to see us make fools of ourselves?
I don't know.
She liked and shared our thing.
I've been very busy, so I haven't talked to her today since this morning.
Well, she liked and shared our thing, so
which I thought was very nice.
I did too. I really like her very much. How do I know if I'm live on Facebook? Well, we should probably be more professional. Or I should be more professional. But as I explained to you, I am trying something new.
Just tape it on Zoom and then we can.
I know, but I kind of want people to be able to like talk.
Comment. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like. Give me another second. So you've been very busy with work stuff?
Yeah.
I have not.
It's been. Yeah, I'm trying to prioritize self-care in there too, because I have to be careful not to get burned out.
I understand. I definitely have my days, and I definitely feel like it's very tough. Dude, how do I figure out if it's live? Hold on.
Can we look on Facebook?
I did, but I didn't see it. But could I have messed? Well, it says it's live, so let's assume it is. Right?
Okay.
You look. What do you see?
Where would I find it?
My name, my page, I guess.
That.
For anyone who's listening, which no one is, I don't either.
Are we live on Instagram right now?
In theory, but no one's there.
Okay.
I don't. Okay, come on, dude. We are shrinks. Let's make this work for us. All right, let me check one more time. So you've been very busy.
Yes, been busy.
I do not find that people are reaching out as much, which is a little sad.
Well, I think it might also be coming.
Yes,
Here in the U.S., we've only been in isolation for about 2 weeks.
Right.
And I believe the shit doesn't really hit the fan until after week 4.
But how do you know that?
Italy.
Ah.
So in Italy, we saw signs of unity and resiliency, singing on the balconies. And then some places in Italy have been in 6 weeks. And now we're seeing fraying about, it's kind of devolving into anger and panic.
So why do you think that we are devolving first? Because I kind of feel really crappy about all the anger.
Well, tell me, what's up with the anger you were getting?
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to tell you. Hold on. I'm getting this. I figured it out, and I discuss anger in quarantine. Okay. Anger over sadness. Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I know I should have tested this out. I just couldn't figure out how to test it.
It's working.
Is it?
Yeah, it says meetings now streaming live on Facebook.
Did
it.
I did something good today.
Growth mindset.
Yay, growth mindset. But now where do I get back to growth mindset exactly?
I had that since I was 5.
I can't figure out how to get AOL to go away, and it always dings. Okay, I am going to tell you why I reached out to you and begged you to join me for this. And I am trying to make it as, fuck it, it's working somehow. So I have been trying to do my best to offer my services, and there's twofold for that. And one is because I think we have this unique quality and skill right now to offer to other people. And 2 is because I, like the rest of the world, am feeling the strain in my pocket a bit, because people are not as willing to fork over, out of the prices. And also, I don't think they understand that we are as willing to do remote sessions as we are. And also now teletherapy has finally come around, possibly the only good thing to come out of the coronavirus. And they're willing to, most if not all of the insurance companies are willing to pay. So I am home, I have children, but I also have time. And I have been trying to bust my butt to offer services to those in need. And I've also, as you know, I have this Psychology Today blog.
Yes, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank
you.
you.
The articles you've written so far have been fantastic.
Well, did you read the last one on the Tiger King?
No, I didn't get into that one. I haven't.
That didn't go over well with a bunch of people, but.
Oh, is that where the anger's coming from?
Actually, no, because I feel like that was a different issue. It was a discussion of microaggressions.
Nice.
And I have mixed feelings about microaggressions because, as I explained to the gentleman who objected, I apologize if I offended you. It was not intended, but also microaggressions are really in the eye of the beholder, yeah. And not necessarily in the eye of the speaker. That's sort of my point of view. And it was complicated because there was discussion of on his part of is sexuality fluid, and he was insistent that it is. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that none of that was something I addressed in the article. And so I think we're all a little on edge. And I printed these things out so I could read them to you.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear them. Because I'm really confused where the anger is coming from. Actually, I'm not confused. I'm just interested.
Okay. But you're confused as to where my emphasis on talking
where
about
you are receiving anger, yeah. And it seems that whenever we get together, we're going to offend somebody. So
that's
just
what I love about us.
Fair warning to all those that are watching, somebody's going to get offended.
Right. But I love the fact that we're going to piss each other off and it's okay. And the best people I know in life piss each other off or argue and then come back and they're fine.
But the important part is having the conversation.
Right. Exactly.
And continuing to keep trying.
Right. And also, just to tell our listeners, watchers, readers, whatever, I guess no one's reading this unless they're, Braille.
Which is funny. I'm thinking about what I just said, and Jory's going to say, yeah, right. Because when I get butt hurt and we're having an argument, then I stonewall, which I'm really working on.
But it doesn't apply to relationships. No. See, no, relationships are totally different.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Jory's still right, obviously, because she's the woman, but still. So there are a couple things. First of all, and you pointed this out to me, I believe, in your podcast, The Evolved Caveman, you were talking about, I think you talked about the statistical increase in aggression. And
during the virus?
Yes. You did more research in this than I did, but
yeah.
Once I thought about what you said, I was like, last week, Dr. John produced a new episode of The Evolved Caveman, and you interviewed a man named
Tom DeBlasi. He's a professor at St. Joseph's College in New York City.
Okay.
And he specializes in aggression, revenge, and anger, and domestic violence.
Interesting.
We had this great this great conversation, pardon me. It was like an hour and a half long, and I got feedback today from Jed Diamond, who's a legend in men's issues. And he was like, yeah, it just sounded like two guys talking over a beer. You just happen to be anger management experts.
Which is kind of what it should be. And I think that's the only way to get through to men and to, destigmatize mental illness, whatever, get more men involved. And then, of course, it started popping up in the news. Once I started looking for it, I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah.
So I did my usual Googling, geeking out. Google reports that there's been a 75% increase in online searches regarding how to seek help for domestic violence. In Houston, from February to March, there was a 20% increase in domestic violence reports. Yep. North Carolina, 18%. South Africa, 90,000 reports of violence against women within the first week. Lebanon and Malaysia increased twice as much, China 3 times as much. And this is sort of my favorite thing I found out because it's actually proactive protective, which is that in Europe, where they're only really leaving to go to pharmacies, or doctor's office or whatever, they've developed a code whereby a woman who is being abused can go in, say it to the pharmacy, and get help. And the code is mask 19. And I think we should always have a code or some sort to help protect people.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a good idea to have a code with a friend too. So if you call up and say something like mask 19, they know, holy shit, we got a problem here. I got to call 911. Because a lot of times there's some counties that are not reporting any increase or that are reporting no increase.
Well, those are liars.
Well, that's the thought, is that right now there's a lot of, now this isn't just women that are being abused. Women,
children also, I know,
well, and children as well. But
I'm sorry, I forgot the man. Yeah.
Yes, it goes both ways, just disproportionately. But a lot of times the person being abused doesn't have any space at all. Let's say if you're in a 1,100 square foot apartment,
Absolutely.
then there's no room or there's no opportunity for you to get away and call anybody. Because
Right.
the whole thing of domestic violence is, or intimate terrorism, I kind of like that phrase.
Ooh, I like that too.
That they're on you all the time, even when you're going to the bathroom. It's very controlling.
Okay, that sounds icky and dirty and probably not the germy environment we should be living in during the coronavirus. But, I agree. I also think that is part of the problem I'm having scheduling patients because I'm in Long Island and I'm not in the city, but there's still a lot of apartments here and people do have a problem getting away from their partners enough to have a session. I mean, yes, go sit in a car or, but if you're living in a small apartment, it's difficult. And so I know that, internationally, domestically, there's been this huge increase. I know that, your brilliant podcast that everyone should listen to go learn more about this. And then I started getting attacked myself. And it was weird. And
Tell me.
Okay.
You're keeping me in suspense.
I know, because I'm a writer. I like drawing it out. So, speaking of writer, did I tell you that my ebook just went public?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Just wanted to put that
I'm really
in there.
proud of you. And I did a post on March 20th.
I know you did, and I really appreciated it. I would be totally proud of me if it sells, but it was still exciting. So
It's still a big feat, regardless.
Well, thank you. And I already have huge plans for the next one, which I'll tell you off air, and you will be as psyched as I am.
So I have a question for you. Can we swear on this?
You're making fun of me.
No, I just want to make sure. I mean, I haven't done
You're totally making fun of me because that was the first question I asked you and Jory. I know you're making fun of me.
Wait, what was the first question?
The first question I ask anyone on any podcast is, can I use potty mouth?
But this is Facebook Live. I just want to make sure, because I was going to say that for my next book,
Yes, please.
I kind of was joking, but I thought I want to title it "Stop Being Your Brain's Bitch."
Stop what?
Stop being your brain's bitch, because we all have that.
I like it. Super ego. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our brain is using us. Our mind. I mean, specifically, it's our mind, but I mean, just our mind works for us and against us, and I would say more often against us than for us. So any tools you can get to get your mind to work for you is a big win. So
I agree. And
but then my mom said, you can't use that language. And I said, Mom, 3 of the top 10 nonfiction books have the word fuck in the title.
I know, which is brilliant. I kind of wish I had, but
Be happy as fuck.
Be happy as fuck. I like that a lot. So I'm trying. Okay, so I'm going to read you the first one. So I actually tonight was supposed to, I offered parents a workshop for parenting in the pandemic. I think I was charging $15 or $20 because an hour and a half of my time, I mean, you know what we get paid. And so yeah. I figured if I devoted an hour to a lecture and then for, a half hour to a question and answer, and you know me, I was not going to cut it off when,
Yeah. That's
right. But you said O. What was the O?
The O is that you're going to get heat from some people who think you're trying to make a buck off of the pandemic.
No, but I am trying to pay my rent in the
Oh,
pandemic.
I understand. I'm
And
still curious about what the anger is.
okay, fine. So someone reaches out to me and says, without half of us having jobs right now due to the quarantine, you guys offer any special prices? And I said, of course, with regards to what service or services are you asking about? Because I posted this on my like my husband and I have an LLC,
Okay.
whatever. And so this person wrote back, I'm not even sure what's offered. I just have such bad anxiety and normally go to class 4 days a week to help, but with this class is a no. And I think our ears both perk up at pondering what class it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So admittedly, I said, you go to class for the anxiety? Person says yes. I said, have you looked to see if something similar is available? Everything out here is closed due to COVID-19. Recall, I'm in New York, which right now, or as of Saturday, we were kind of the hottest hotbed of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let me see, everything out here is closed due to COVID. And this person says, I said, well, have you looked into similar classes? And this person says, and once again, everything is shut down where I'm at. If you didn't want to help, that's all you had to say, instead of causing my anxiety to make it where I want to fucking punch someone. They don't seem people like you make people commit suicide. Here I am asking for help with my anxiety, and you're giving me the F, and then for some reason they didn't want to write fucking a second time, the effing runaround. Yeah. I said, listen, I'm sorry you're struggling, and I'm not sure I understand what it is you were asking for. If you are having thoughts of hurting yourself, please call 911. Although it may seem like everything is shut down, mental health is still available. Many people are still doing virtual therapy. You can also find many therapists posting free tips for stress management on YouTube and Instagram. I know it's not the same as your classes, but it's worth looking into. Come on, that was a responsible response.
Yeah. It sounds like she might have overreacted a little bit, maybe because she's anxious.
Right. And the response I got was, I have been calling my therapist since all this went down and I've left tens of messages. I'm sure it means tons, but leave me the hell alone because you are not helping. And at this point, I feel like you're purposely causing my anxiety to be high. So just quit texting me. You're worthless.
Yeah. It almost sounds like, in anger, there's the state versus trait. And that's what makes me think of, because when you've got trait anxiety or trait anger, which is hostility.
Yeah.
We know that they have these hostile attributions. And so they interpret everything through the worst possible lens. It's almost sounding like that's what she's doing.
It's almost sounding like those were DBT classes, no?
Yeah.
But explain to the listener what state versus trait.
So state is, in my mind, like an emotion. So you get angry for a few seconds, a few minutes. Trait is an underlying characteristic. So it's something that it's more likely that you're born with it.
Okay.
And when you're born with it, you tend to have you see the world through not just pessimistic lens, but hostile lens. So you see everything that other people do with the worst possible interpretation. So, and one of the things I talk about in anger management is, what's the intention behind what someone else does to you? And if you don't know, which we often don't know what the intention is, pick the intention that serves you best. For example, if you're in school in the hallway getting a drink from the water fountain and someone bumps into you, if you interpret that as purposeful, that they were trying to hurt you and chip your teeth into the metal water fountain,
right,
you get up, turn around, and you're pissed and you're ready to fight. Some people. However, if you interpret it as accidental, it's a whole different emotional ball game. And it might be that someone else bumped into the person who bumped into you, and it was just a mistake. So it depends. You want to pick your interpretation to serve you. And her interpretation was, you're purposefully doing this to me. You're trying to make me anxious.
Right. As if my attempts at finding help were trying to make her anxious. Right. But isn't that also part of the our cognitive bias, attribution bias, whatnot?
Which way do you want to go with that?
I don't know.
Because that makes me go to like negativity bias, but attribution bias in terms of
In terms of if you're a bit if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. If I'm an asshole, you should understand I've had a
Yeah.
shitty day.
Yeah.
You know? And it's also weird because I don't know. I would want to think that that something like this could possibly bring out the better in people. I see people online trying to make masks, which I'm pretty sure are fucking pointless, but that's fine. Go make masks, right? Like, fine, make masks. I respect that though, you know? Or
Well, I
like,
think it does. Again, it's doing things that we can control to reduce our anxiety.
right. Which I feel the same way too. I mean, why do you think like that's why I feel like in some ways that's why we podcast, that's why I post on Instagram, that's why I tried to offer this fucking workshop to begin
Yeah.
with, so that people would have somewhere to go for answers.
Yeah.
And
Or even just, I mean, not even answers, just normalization. So I think,
yeah,
like one of the big things, I'm going to talk with Jed Diamond here, I don't know, this week, and I said, let's just talk about how this has impacted us personally.
yes,
Because I think there's something really valuable to saying, look, I'm a mental health professional. I've been doing this for 25 years. And I've been I've been struggling with anxiety and fear at times. I've been shorter and
yeah.
more impatient than normal. And I've gotten depressed for a couple days as a result of, my spinal stenosis and the sty in my eye, so I couldn't see. But I mean, I think,
Yeah, but it's tough being as ugly as you were, can I just say?
well, I got told twice that I look like Sloth on the Goonies, and once was by my fiance. So yeah,
But that's why I love her. It's such a great reference and it's so accurate,
yeah, it was brutal. It was hard to look at.
So bad.
My whole eye swelled up and shut, and it was my good eye. So I couldn't see, I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk. But I think we have to realize that there's these layers of stress that are on us, because everyone's got their own shit right now that they had before this whole pandemic thing.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you get, don't go outside, be stuck inside with your family or by yourself. Either one has its problems. Worried about job loss, worried about finances, worried about teaching our kids. I mean, there's all these layers of stress that just got dropped on us within a week.
And we were not prepared for, I mean, we as a people and the funniest thing is when you podcast with Canadians and they're like, oh yeah, we know more than you. Like
Did you get that? I didn't get that.
Oh yes. Are you kidding? They always say that. They're like, we were not as surprised.
Well, just as far as their healthcare system, you mean?
No, just like they're like, we were not as surprised. By the way, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the other comments that I had. They're like, we were not as surprised. We knew what was going on in the world. How did you assholes not know what was going on in the world? I'm like, we're just dumb Americans. We
or science.
Yeah, you're like, we have a president who doesn't believe in science.
We don't believe in science.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's first of all, it should be more okay for us to have our little breakdowns. The first week of quarantine, I think it was one of my first Facebook Lives, and I just totally full on had a shit show crying meltdown on Facebook Live. And I had meant to go on to say something positive or do some like stupid ass book promotion.
That sounds far from positive.
I know it didn't work out. And then I just started crying and I was like, I should stop this. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to stop it.
Good for you.
And the thing that I think what did it for me was, I forget the final straw, but it was something along the lines of I had gone to the post office and it was something stupid. Like I had realized how different things were that week than the week before. And so I cried. And for me, humor and tears have always been a safer place than anger. Mm-hmm. However, this weekend, my idiot husband decided to, we moved into a new house, and obviously it was a great timing considering the financial situation of the world. And then everything that today they told us we have termites. Like everything that you could imagine to go wrong has gone wrong. And so we have a pool, which looks like a swamp and hasn't been open in 10 years. And there was a tree that we had to get removed because really it was just dropping shit into the pool. And so they removed it, but they left the stump and there were rocks. And like I worked Sunday obviously from my, from home. And I finish and I come out and my husband has my children like hauling rocks on like a sled and using like a pickaxe. And I was like, hey, asshole. My neighbors all know this because I screamed it. If there's a real injury, where the fuck do you think we're gonna go? And sure enough, 3 minutes later, my son dropped like a rock on his toe. I think he broke it, lost feeling in it. And then I was like something from Greek mythology, like one of those sirens shrieking. And yes,
Harpy.
yes, I was like, you like, and all I could feel was anger because I was scared.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what's going on with this. Like, I think anger feels more proactive than fear.
Yeah.
And I think it sucks, but I think that's why we're all not we all, but I think that's why those of us who feel more vulnerable, like me in that instance of watching my son with a broken toe that he suddenly doesn't have feeling in it. Thank God my father is a physician and I called him, and they're in Florida, so they're pretty much just drunk all the time, like, so. And I was like, I need you to sober up and take a look at this, his
And he's
toe.
like, I'm retired.
Yeah, apparently, I think he's sending me a 6-foot tall stuffed bear.
I used to have one of those. Well,
Really?
actually, my daughter used to have one of those.
My parents are.
It was a gift from grandparents also.
Oh no, yeah. See, this is like they have a checking account that's too large, and then impulse control that's too small.
Sounds like a problem for you.
We have a lot of weird ass shit in our house that has come from them. A lot. And so he's threatening to send me a 6-foot tall bear.
It's a lot of cost and shipping.
It doesn't really matter to him. It's going to be worth it because he knows it's pissed me off.
Wait, so let's go back to the anger, because I've got
I'm still looking.
an online anger management class that I have greatly reduced to help everyone out at this time.
Really? Can you tell me about that?
Sure. You can find it at guidetoself.com or theevolvedcaveman.com. It's normally like $197. And because of this crisis, I've reduced it to $19.95. But it's like 15 hours of material, and it's over 10,000 people have taken it.
Okay, so but I want to hear who yells at you for this.
Who yells at me?
Yes. Someone's going to yell at you. They have to. Do you think no because you're a man?
No. I think no because I'm really kind.
Fuck you. I'm just That's garbage. I'm looking for this other thing.
Well, I'm trying to think of who's yelling at me. Actually, I really haven't had. I mean, I think I'm kind of intimidating to yell at because I can pull the anger management expert card. And so then they know they're going to get analyzed immediately. But I mean,
I'm a smart, snarky, sweary, pretty shrink. I'm just as intimidating as you are, let's be honest.
Well, but you're getting yelled at.
Okay, so ready for number 2? I just found
Yes.
it. But can you tell people again where they can find your anger management program?
Sure. It's guidetoself.com. That's GUIDETOSELF.com or theevolvedcaveman.com. And there's a shop on each of those. They both lead to the same shop. But
okay.
I also have an anxiety management class that's discounted to $20 as well, and a positive psychology class. I just thought I'm going to offer these for little money. I wanted people to pay a little bit so they would have some skin in the game and complete the class.
How many classes is the class?
The positive psych one I think is 6. The anxiety I think is 8. And the anger management is 10 classes.
So you think my mistake was charging too much? I saw that look. Just admit it.
No. I mean, I think $15 is eminently reasonable for an online class. I think that's a deal.
I mean, I do too. And I think it was also intended to be like a one-on-one, not one-on-one, but it was a small group venue.
Well, and you also said immediately, well, I'm willing to look at other options.
100%.
So I don't think there's a whole lot you could have done. I think she was just maybe in the middle of a panic attack or just that's really high anxiety.
I should tell you this took place over 2 days.
And maybe borderline.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is number 2. So also on this class, someone says, I don't understand how on earth they're doing this. It has the address somewhere in New York and says nothing about being online. Crazy. So, it does say it's online. You have to also order tickets through Eventbrite, which clearly says that it's online. However, because this is attached to my work website, my office website, I did notice that it links the address, but I did think that anyone living in the world would understand that, like, if you're interested in buying a ticket, look at it and see that.
You know what I found about selling stuff online? Don't assume
Yeah.
anything.
Right. So particularly don't assume that something works if you buy it online. Do you remember the Thigh Master? Yep.
Yeah, I think
Come on, you're just as old as you're older than I am.
No, I got the Thigh Master.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. One night while drunk, I convinced my husband to get me that belt that was supposed to make you abs, but with shocking things.
Oh, was it shaky?
Yeah.
Like the shake belt?
Yeah, and you know what happened? We were both drunk, and so he ended up on the phone for like 20 minutes, and they figure once you've got you on, you're drunk, and you're just going to keep, because you must be drunk to order an electronic.
So they upsell, right?
Right, so they upsell, and so I think we got 2 and like some other random, I can't even remember what it was, but yes, the lesson to be learned is be suspicious.
Was it like the penis enlargement kit, which was like a rock on a string?
We don't need that, do you?
Oh. Maybe that was my order.
That was funny. Okay, so ready? So this person says this. I said, no, it is a virtual class. If you click on the link to register, that should be clear. The address is to the actual therapeutic office, which is obviously shut down due to the pandemic. However, as therapists, we do not stop working during a crisis. And so all help / classes / consultations are virtual. However, as you may imagine, the world was not prepared for social distancing, and therefore not every website or every clinician newly immersed in global pandemic is fully equipped to properly address the details of virtual therapy. I'm saying a lot here. An attempt to aid parents during this time of need would never involve endangering others, particularly in a state such as New York, which has been on lockdown for quite some time. We always welcome questions and comments about the services we provide! Exclamation point! An exclamation point, which is to say, like...
You never use exclamation points.
I never do. You know why? Because they're cheerful and happy, and I'm not.
You should read a book. There's a book on it. What's the title of your book?
10 Steps to Finding Happy, and you can now get it on Kindle and ebook and whatever. I've never read a self-help book. I don't want to read a self-help book.
Did you read the draft of yours?
Yeah, I did. Like
okay,
1,000 times.
That counts.
So after a while, I was like, I can't. And then I made my co-author do all the hard work.
No wonder you're wet and cranky.
I'm cranky for a lot of reasons. My husband's still going to work.
Yeah, that's tough.
He's still going to work. So this person wrote back to me after my happy exclamation point. There is no link to register, just to get tickets. When you click on the get tickets, it gives you an option on how many tickets to buy and nothing about it being on the web. So thanks for your asshole attitude and incorrect info.
Well, you are in New York. I mean, so it makes a lot more sense if you look at it geographically.
I mean, I am an asshole, but I was not being an asshole there.
At that moment, yeah.
At that moment. And so
maybe he knew.
It's a she.
Maybe she knew.
I said...
She saw through all your kindness in the email.
I said, wow, again. Thank you for informing me of my mistake. And she said, you're welcome. And by the way, she spelled "you're" wrong. Next time, don't treat someone as if they're stupid.
Well, you know the problem with that?
I did something wrong?
Well, the average... I shouldn't... Well...
Oh, no, you've already opened your mouth. You got to finish.
The average level of reading experience or knowledge in the United States is 8th grade.
Is that true?
Yeah. That's what I learned a long time ago as a school psychologist.
You were a school psychologist?
Yeah. That was my initial training.
Why?
Because I wanted to get a PhD, and I knew that I wanted Cal's name behind me to do stuff that I wanted to do later.
Cal?
UC Berkeley.
Gotcha. It's impressive, but I went to Georgetown, so.
I know. You sit on the board, alumni interviews.
No, I understand what you mean.
But Berkeley was much cheaper.
Yes, it probably was. Fine. But again, my father is sending me a 6-foot tall stuffed bear. So clearly.
Oh my gosh. You want me to tell you a great story?
Yes, please.
This has nothing to do with anything, but it's a great story from my school psychology days. So when I was a rookie, I mean, like the first year, like an intern, they put me in a middle school. Side note.
Okay, by the way.
Pleasanton Middle School.
Or
think about the initials of that for a minute.
What is it?
And then Pleasanton Middle School.
Oh, PMS all the way. Yeah.
I didn't get it. But anyway, so they give me the worst behavior problems in the school and they say, here, do a group. So these are like highly ADHD boys, 8th grade, right? And I did. So I ran a group and I was exhausted after every time doing it. And there, there's a pecking order in these groups, right? So the social hierarchy. And the one kid that was at the bottom of everybody's social hierarchy, let's call him Todd,
was his name Todd?
No. That's a made up name.
It would be better if it were.
Keep the anonymity.
Gotcha.
And this was years ago too. But this one day where I was having group and he was really more agitated than normal. Like I expect them not to sit still, but he was like all over the place. And so the tables were in kind of a U shape and I'm sitting in front of the tables. And at a certain point, and I don't even know what triggered him, he jumps over the table and runs at me and makes a fist as if to hit me, like he's coming at me to punch me in the face. And I'm like, huh. So I stopped and I watched him and his fist ended about an inch from my nose. And my thought was, huh. So he does have some self-control.
That is true. That's a good, yeah.
And so then I said, and one of my advisors at Cal said, never give them what they expect, which I thought was really pretty sage advice. And this kid, his whole life had been punished, right? Anything like that, it's like, go to the vice principal, then you get suspended, blah, blah, blah.
No, you reward him because he stopped himself.
And I said, okay, so you got a choice. That's not appropriate behavior. Like you can go back to class and I won't say anything about it, or you can go sit down and we can continue the group. And so he turned around and got in his seat and sat there. And then I talked with all the kids about, okay, so what did you just see happen there? And they were blown away. They'd never seen anything like it because in their world, anger was always met with anger.
Right.
And this was the first time they had seen anger met with something else. They weren't sure what the hell it was. Like, I don't even know what that was. But I remember after the group, I was so exhausted. Like I just slumped down against the door. I was like, oh my God. But the funny thing was, and I didn't think a whole lot of it, but in the next year, I got calls from every one of those kids' moms saying, hey, do you do individual therapy? Because something you did left a mark on my son.
Which is fantastic. And I'm sure it was that. It was breaking the mold.
Yeah.
I
couldn't because I didn't have a license at that point. But
you could have done it under a supervisor, no?
Yeah, I suppose.
Weren't the moneymaker then you are now. Huh?
No. Wasn't nearly as entrepreneurial minded.
I call it hustling, but whatever.
Hustling. Grinding.
Yeah, hustling, women who hustle, it's a thing. It's funny when I was, what just happened?
That's not me. I'm not a woman that hustles.
Oh, sorry. I am, but it's a hashtag. It's a hashtag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I now speak in hashtags.
I'm not in that box.
I know, but like, if you're a man, you're just a man in business. If you're a woman making money or attempting to, you're just a woman who hustles. Which reminds me, I wonder if, had you posted the same exact thing I posted, would you have been met with the hostility that I was? Because, by the way, I was met with hostility solely from other women. And by the way, one of my friends just commented on my Facebook feed that what you said is a super helpful idea for how she might deal with her stepson. So
what did I say? Don't meet anger with anger?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was a brilliant message.
Yeah.
So let's go back to would you say that to a man? It's like my new standard.
Yeah, I like the question. You've brought up that question before, and I think it's a really good question.
I'm obsessed with it.
It's enlightening. I think there's so many variables in there because it could be geography, truly. I mean, it could be people in New York. It could be,
But you're in California. You're in LA, yeah?
I'm in Northern California.
I don't know where LA is.
It's Southern California.
Okay, so you're in like San Francisco.
I'm outside of San Francisco.
Okay, I do remember that. So
But
you're saying,
I also think.
so what are you saying? It's like a little gayer and nicer?
Well, I wasn't saying that, but I think it's more, I hear from a lot of people that when you go to New York, you just don't say hi to people, right? Because if you say hi to people, they look at you like you're crazy.
So I'm in Long Island. I'm in a small town. We're really pretty nice here, except when it comes to two things. One is the school calendar, and then we fight like vicious motherfuckers because everyone has a stupid ass opinion. And then the second is the Board of Ed meetings, and then we fight like stupid motherfuckers because we're all paranoid that like this or that minority group is going to take over the town and ruin it. It's essentially a Salem witch trial reenactment,
but based on racism and not witchcraft.
It is. It's based on anti-Semitism, which is weird because we're all Jews. We're just scared of other Jews.
Well, maybe they're not bringing in the right kind of Jews.
Sorry,
should I not be saying this stuff out loud?
It doesn't matter to me. We're scared that the Orthodox are going to take over our town because.
Yeah.
And by the way,
it's fighting within Jews.
Right. I mean, the issue is that the Orthodox send their kids to private schools, and well, is their right, but the idea is that if they get on the board, then perhaps they will reroute funding from the schools, and then we won't get all the programs. It's literally every year there's this like last minute like mass text of have you voted? The Orthodox, they're coming out in droves, and they don't, and like I would like to assume they're doing the same thing and that we're not the only assholes, but either way it sucks. But other than that, we're a pretty easygoing
Okay,
town.
so let's say there's no geographic distance, no difference. I think that the other possibility, big one, is that the pandemic is really fraying people's emotions. And so especially people that are already prone to mental health issues, like let's say someone with a personality disorder,
right?
They're going to be having a hard time staying calm right now. And I've seen it. And, so I think the other factor in there is the anonymity to the extent it's easier to say shitty things from behind a keyboard. Now, you did have an email address, but
oh my God, I also looked up their profiles. I mean, like it's on Facebook. These assholes, like,
Oh. Were any of them your best friends?
No.
Okay, just thought that'd be kind of funny.
It would be kind of funny, but that I could at least laugh at. And then this one woman in kindness reached out and suggested I just delete the negative comments, and somehow I didn't feel comfortable doing that either because I think if you're angry and suffering that much, I don't want to contribute to silencing your voice. Yeah. And I know that's weird.
Well, it's funny. I had the same thought with my podcast. I did a podcast episode on my divorce story. Yeah. And I tried to keep it as factual as possible. Everything I said pretty much can be proven from documents that were filed in a court of law. And
I'm surprised that I haven't stalked your divorce story as much as
I want to tell my story.
I know, but now I know what I'm going to work out to tomorrow morning.
Perfect. And so then I got a review shortly after that, and I had a 5.0 review, and there was 18 reviews on there or something. And all of a sudden my review dropped down. I was like, who's got a problem with my podcast? Oh. And I went and looked at the reviews. John, this is not true. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and I had a friend that works at Apple, and he's like, well, you can write a letter and have it removed. And I was like, no, I think that explains it right there.
That is the prerogative.
That's part of the flavor and the juice. It's the au jus.
Yeah. That's actually why my parents are blocked on all social media, though, because of those crazy pants. Like, why bother saying it there? It's not the point.
My parents don't get that either. Like, what to say where, I think.
Yeah, mine don't either. But it's a more mental health issue with one of them. Not the one who's buying the giant fucking bear, surprisingly.
We should work on gratitude. And that's a lesson for all of you. We should be working on gratitude right now.
Okay, so can I tell you something? And I posted this today on Instagram. And I've really been feeling like this for a while. I have been the biggest complainer of homeschooling, and it fucking sucks. And like,
and you're in the middle of it.
And then my idiot child, damn it, my idiot son.
I'm sure you got thick walls.
Not really, but whatever. My idiot son lies every day. So like every day last week, I was like, Parent portal says you're missing the science assignment from 317, 318, 319. Oh, no, I did it. You did it? You did it. No. So my husband, who is a saint in some ways, and then just a male psychologist, the male equivalent of me and the others. So again, would you say that to a male?
I'm so sorry for your children.
You should be sorry for my husband. You should be sorry for
That's
him.
hard.
My daughter constantly asks, like, if something happens, I'll be like, oh, this happened. She goes, how do you feel?
Yeah.
And she doesn't
Did it really happen? How do you know?
She doesn't actually care how I feel. She just knows that that's the right thing. Whereas my son has a heart of fucking gold. But he's just not like together. And, you know, he's like a
boy.
Worm. Yeah, a boy. But so, I totally forgot what story I was telling. We were talking about, oh, right. So I realized that like these moments, so I've never been on a bike ride with my kids until the quarantine because I have a history of back problems, as you and I have discussed previously, and then I broke my foot a few years ago, and also I have incredible anxiety, and so I was sure as shit not going to be the one to teach them to ride bikes. And so now that they're 9 and 11, and they're, you know, they're capable, this quarantine has been the first time that I've gone on bike rides with them, like regularly, and it was not without screaming and fighting and whatnot.
And you made it back alive.
All of us. And
congratulations.
Yeah, and or we've gone on like long walks, you know, like exploring our neighborhood, and because we just moved, and then trying not to get lost, and like surely they end at some point with me yelling, don't touch that, to my ADHD son, or like you know, with one of the kids pushing the other, and you know, but we also read every night. We've been having like an arts and crafts portion of the night because we're trying to spread the hashtag, the people in my neighborhood, and gratitude adjustment to thank like the bus drivers, awesome. The bus drivers, the postal workers, the sanitation department. I have made some beautiful paintings. Thank you very much. No artistic talent.
I would like to see them sometime.
I will show you them.
Yeah.
But so we never ever, like, I would never have these moments, and like they say that childhood goes by so fast, and when the kids were younger I used to want to punch someone who said that to me because it was it's tough, you know, like it's tough having babies, it's tough having children. Yeah. But I did have this moment of gratitude yesterday, and by the way, if you look on my Instagram, this gratitude is included in the same post as my discussion with my father over the fucking bear. And so, because I just screenshot it all and put it on Instagram. You'll see.
Okay.
But my point was like, for all the shit going on in this world, we have these. You can make your joke. Go on.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to jump in.
You can make your joke. For all this shit going on in this world, these are moments that we would not have otherwise. You know, my kids took a creative writing class with an author. Her name was Eileen Moskowitz, I think. She wrote this book called Camp Click, and it was supposed to come out. It's probably supposed to come out in a week. And once the, you know, quarantine hit, she started creative writing classes, and she like basically entry was to buy her book, which I thought was great. Yeah, and sure. Both my kids took the class, and they learned more about creative writing, and now they're journaling, and now they're fantastically, you know, like these are things that they would never have had the opportunity to. We did a virtual tour of a museum. My son looked at the Museum of Natural History, which is fucking stupid because we've been there a million times. My daughter looked at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, and I could not resist asking her if she noticed anything in particular about those paintings.
Future feminist.
Yeah, she's 9. She was like, it does look like a butthole. I was like, there you go. So.
Oh, did you see someone did a supercut of the Cats musical movie of just cat buttholes?
No, and why would you? Okay, fine.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, exactly.
That movie does fascinate me. I've never seen it, but I like to see horror movies.
Does it? It's funny. Is it coming out on video anytime soon?
No, I think they burned it.
We have been watching horrible movies, but like honestly, by the end of the night, I don't care what we watch. I just want to go to sleep. So my husband, we'll have like and my husband is one of these that takes 45 minutes to pick a movie. So basically after 15 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to sleep, just pick something.
Okay, we were talking about something prior to this.
Anger.
Oh, well, I've got a really profound quote I want to share with you.
I'm so excited that you prepped for
Would
this.
you like to hear it? I found this ruffling through my Dropbox today. You ready?
Sure. I'm ready. Wait, hold on. Okay,
Do you have
now
your
I'm ready.
thinking cap on?
Yeah, thinking cap on.
Tragedy masks the opportunity for growth. The surest way out of untenable situations is to change your perspective and view the situation as a challenge to which you are meant to rise. And you can challenge yourself by asking, what am I supposed to learn from this?
What? Who? Where? How?
What?
Who wrote that? Who's
Me.
who? You? How did you write the quote ruffling through your Dropbox?
It was in my Dropbox. It was an article I wrote after the Columbine shooting.
How old were you for the Columbine shooting?
Was it Columbine? No. Sorry, it was the movie theater shooting in Colorado.
Ugh, yes.
There's been so many shootings to write. So
No, I asked because Columbine I was a senior in college, and I remember specifically, and I'm grateful for that because I didn't grow up with that as a reality, and neither did you. But I think that's a really gorgeous quote, and say it again.
Tragedy masks the opportunity for growth. The surest way out of untenable situations is to change your perspective. View the situation as a challenge to which you are meant to rise. I really think that we are meant to be superheroes. Like, let's put on our capes right now and let's be heroes. Like, let's rise to the occasion and ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from this? And I mean, I've been pressing men on this for a couple of weeks that, look, you guys have been running away from yourself all your life. It's do, or, we'll work, or drink, or smoke, or have sex with anything with a hole. And we're just running away from our internal landscape. And now we're forced to stay at home with ourselves. And it's interesting. There was a study that came up recently. Jory brought my attention to this, where people.
By the way, for those of you that don't know, Jory is the bestest. She's John's better half, kind of.
Yes, my fiance. She's a therapist. She has her own podcast.
By the way, do you have a wedding date set? Oh, hold on. First, talk about her name. Okay. First, promo her podcast.
So her podcast is Journey Forward with Jory Rose, aimed at women. She's exceptional at what she does.
She is, and sometime soon, my episode will be airing.
Yeah.
Not that we're incestuous or anything. Okay, now do you have
a wedding date? No, because we're waiting for this whole coronavirus thing to go away. We're actually waiting for the girls to get a little bit older. But then we'll go to, I don't know, maybe Greece to get married and Italy to honeymoon, send the girls back home. So yeah, what were we talking about?
We were talking about your lovely fiance, Jory.
Oh, prior to that?
Anger.
Oh wait, no, sorry, Jory. There was a study that came up, this was years ago, that found that people would rather receive an electric shock than be left alone with their thoughts. And men were disproportionately higher. It was like 73% of men and 20-something% of women.
That's okay, I mean.
So now think about that. So now we're being put into this little cubicle to live with our family. And, hold on just a second. This is great. Hold on, let me pull this up. So we were looking, Jory brought me this, there was a Facebook post with a neighbor that was saying, my husband pisses me off. He's eating all day long, leaves a mess all around the house. What are your husbands doing that piss you off? So here's some of the irritants that we kind of came up with.
Wait, but can I just say, there was a woman in my town who posted, and I barely know her, and she literally posted a video of her husband and was like, this asshole's been sitting on the couch all day. And I was just like, what the, do you not know this is public? Like,
yeah. Well, or that he's going to, I mean, like, yeah, it's strange. It's like they get to the point where they don't even care. It's like, maybe if I put this on Facebook, it'll spark some sort of reaction in him.
Yeah, but it's a small circle. Like, if I put something on Facebook, whatever, it's a small, okay, go.
But I mean, this points out to me, like, just how pronounced our irritability has gotten within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, he's drinking too much, I'm drinking too much, I'm snacking too much togetherness, not enough, leaving on every possible light, wearing the same sweatpants every day, leaving cabinet doors open, burping, farting, chewing with your mouth open like you have no teeth, narrating his own activity all day long. I thought that was pretty good.
Well, that's
kids coming to me constantly while my spouse sits on the couch.
Mm.
Leaving bags of food empty in the box in the pantry, but it looks like they're full food. The sound of the word mom or dad over and over and over. You don't listen to me, stop talking to me. Loud breathing, throat clearing, nose sniffling, blinking too loudly. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But, you know, the idea is that this is going to get worse.
I know.
That our irritability is going to increase because it's like drops of irritation or resentment or anger in our bucket of negative emotions. And most people that I know have no tools to empty out that bucket. The other thing we do is we ignore the bucket of positive emotions on the other side because we haven't been trained to do that either.
It only gets worse if we allow it to, and I don't necessarily know how to not allow it to, but I will say my husband and I are good at communication in that, and he's also he works at a psych ward. Exposure to coronavirus is high, but he's also very good with the fact that like Mondays are usually my busy work days, and so we're sort of thinking he stays home from work on Mondays so that he can handle this homeschooling bullshit, because I refuse to sit there for 9 hours and check my kids' work 4 times, you know. I also don't cook or clean, but if you give me enough whiskey, I'll put out like hell. So I'm like,
So
you
you're
know, what'd you say?
you're easy.
Given the right amount of whiskey, yes. But you know, but like he's also a shrink, and he works with anger management, and he, you know, like it's a similar like a similar population as you, although really sad. At his hospital, you know, now they're keeping all the patients in their rooms to avoid contagion, and I feel so bad. And I've been trying to brainstorm, and this is me trying to do something. I'm like, can we give them something? You know, like there's nothing to do, but you know, he's assured me that he visits regularly, and I'm sure he does. He's a great man, but like we can't possibly do enough, and yet there's all this anger. I will say my daughter and I spent about 30 minutes yesterday watching a raccoon climb a tree and our next door neighbor's dog bark at it. 20-30 minutes, and I Instagram lived it because there might have been whiskey involved then, but it did give
Was
me
it worth it?
uh,
Was it IG worthy?
I don't think so. There were like 3 people watching, but you know, it did give me the opportunity to meet these neighbors, and I do think maybe what we can be and should be doing is encouraging our children and our patients to, at the end of the day, do the whole gratitude thing, you
Oh,
know,
I
like
think it's huge. I
write
mean,
down
I think
one
there's a number
thing.
of foundational skills that we need to work on routinely if we want a happy, thriving life. Gratitude is one of them. Mindfulness is one of them, because we tend to go through life like an automaton on
Yeah.
autopilot. We have no fucking clue what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're feeling. I mean, to the listeners out there, have you ever driven past your exit to your house and gone, whoa, like what happened? Have you
Yeah.
ever had that experience of being in the shower and you're not there with yourself in the shower because your mind's taking you to the past or the future?
I love
Usually a negative past or a negative future.
I'm a water person, so anytime I'm in water, it is the most present I will ever be, and I never want to leave. But I agree with you 100%. I will often have times where I'm doing something and then I can't remember having done it, and it's because I'm not present.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, you know, to me, it's always the solution at some level is focusing on tools to empty out the bucket of negative emotions and tools to fill up the bucket of positive emotions. And then there's other pieces to it as well. I think meaning is a big part of it. Finding meaning in your work, which is one of the reasons I'm really grateful for what I do, because even on really, really shitty days, like when I was going through the worst of my divorce, I could go in and see clients.
Yeah.
And I was really thankful for my clients and the fact that I feel I have meaningful work. And
I feel the same way.
it's not always easy, but it's always meaningful.
I love what I do. I love saying something that makes a difference. I mean, you know this, I've taken to sort of specializing or focusing on suicide. It started off as suicidal teens, and now I really want to learn everything I can about different trends, different places. I want to.
I gotta put you in touch with Thomas Joyner, by the way.
Okay.
He's one of the leading experts in suicide in the country.
Okay.
At least he was 10 years ago, I'm
Well,
assuming.
whatever. I'll bug you after this.
Okay. So
So
remind,
yeah, because I have an idea for a book and I'm really excited about it. And you,
I want your opinion on something else if I can.
yeah.
So I was talking with Jed Diamond today, and Jed's like a legend in the men's area. He's written like
Okay.
16, 17 books. But we were talking about the possibility of doing like a virtual summit, something about the idea of kind of surviving the psychological pressure cooker during a pandemic,
Yeah.
and then pulling in, I don't know what, 10, 15, 20 experts, and everyone has like an hour-long interview.
I would
Um,
love to be a part of that. I
what do you
also
think
would
about
love to, I think it's, I just told you I want to be in it.
Oh,
But I think it's a great idea. But I also think one of the things that I've been researching is, which is tough because pandemics occur so rarely, but I'm trying to look for patterns and
right.
whatnot. And so I think it's a fantastic idea. I think there'll probably only be dorks like us that watch it or are interested in it. But honestly, we need our cup filled sometimes.
Well, but I mean, really, I look at this as it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to reset. It's, we've kind of gone into the cocoon, right? And
Yeah,
what do we want to do in the cocoon? How do we want to
metamorphosize.
metamorphosize, so that we come out at the
We
other
could just
end?
go with change, but we want to seem fancy.
Yeah, well, that's a big word, a $5 word.
Yeah.
But how do we want to emerge from the cocoon? What direction do we want to be going? I mean, what skills do we want to learn? Because to me, I'm talking to my clients daily about getting the daily routine and looking for every possible little area that you can soak up some sort of positive emotional boost. And I think one of those ways is learning.
I
That
agree.
learn something new every day, and it's something you're interested in, but it could be
Not,
something
I mean,
that,
hello, from my book, 10 Steps to Finding Happy.
there you go.
Learn something new. It's a thing, science. I would love that. I would love you to set that up, and I would love to be part of it in any way possible, whether it be as a participant or simply to, scream from the rooftops that we should all be doing this to grow ourselves. I know Samantha Rodman, Dr. Psych Mom, she's awesome, and I'm sure
Oh, okay.
I think she might like to do it. Let me ask you a question before we close because I've taken up so much of your time. So two things. Um, I want a tip for you to give to someone who is feeling overly angry, and then also a tip you would give to someone who is dealing with people feeling overly angry. And I'm not referring to a DV situation here because obviously
Thank you.
that is a totally different issue, legal, liability, etc. But and we've already said if you are in danger, please do your best to reach out. If you know,
Yeah, call 911 if you can. Reach out to a
yes,
friend. Have a safe word.
have a safe word,
Um,
etc. Yeah.
but yeah, I think if you're angry, what I would say, if anyone has ever told you you're angry or you have an anger problem or an issue with anger, I think you have an obligation to look at that honestly. Even if you think you don't, I think it's still worthwhile to get more familiar with anger and to work on managing it.
Wait, do you think that people don't? Because when I'm flipping my shit out over my kid, yesterday I paid my daughter $10 to talk to my parents on FaceTime for 5 minutes, and it was because I was fucking done. And then I forked over $10. And I don't have an anger issue per se, but I was fully aware that at the time, my emotions were not like my cup was empty,
Yeah.
and I could not handle that. I was too angry. And so, but do you think there are people that, uh, do you think that there are people that are not aware that they have an anger issue?
Do I think there's people out there that are not aware they have an anger issue? Was that the question?
I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think most people out there with anger problems are not aware, because the whole dynamic of anger is externalizing blame. If I'm angry at you, it's all your fault. If you would just stop saying that, or if you would just stop using that tone of voice, or if you would just stop criticizing me, I'd be fine. I wouldn't be angry. So
That's
anger
true.
is really seductive because all we do is we put the blame out on other people, and man, it's addictive. Like, it's easy to get addicted because you can defend your own behavior. You don't have to take any of the blame.
Right.
And so that's why, and the hard part about anger is you have to look at your own anger. Like no one can tell you, hey, Lindsay, you're getting kind of angry, like you need to chill or breathe or just relax.
Well,
Because
it depends. If you are married to me, then you cannot tell me that.
But I mean, truly, if you're getting angry, there's not really a whole lot good you can say to someone that's getting angry. It really, it falls on us to deal with our own anger. So I think it's really important for all of us to look at our anger and to what extent is it destructive in our relationships?
This is
To what
true.
extent is it harming people? And, the biggest one to me is I'm really a big fan of this idea of psychological safety and security. It's coming up in everything that I'm looking at. It's coming up in parenting. It's coming up in relationships. It's coming up in corporate teams.
Okay.
We did a study about, what's the best predictor of an effective team in corporations? Psychological safety. If people feel safe, they can speak truths. They can say stupid ideas. They can joke. They can compliment. But as soon as you don't feel safe, you start to shut down.
Yep.
In any one of those three. And, we know that when you don't feel safe and secure, you effectively cut off half of the positive emotions available to us.
Right.
And that's a problem. Like we need more positive emotions in this world.
I agree.
So for someone that's being or that's feeling angry, I mean, if you're willing to look at it, the biggest weapon you have against anger is your breath. And, the idea is that you've got the autonomic nervous system coming down your spine and it splits into two parts, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the stress response, fight, flight, freeze. And for us right now, in this situation, it's almost always on for most people, which is a problem.
And it feels like it's on fight.
Yeah. It's one of the three, right? It's either you're going to fight, you're going to run away.
Is, but I don't think, listen, I feel like I froze at first and then I can't do that anymore. So now, and you can't fly anywhere. So yeah.
Well, you can hide under the blanket, but so the other system is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that is the rest and digest response. It's the relaxation response. So if we're a car, the sympathetic nervous system is like the gas. Parasympathetic is the brakes. We're all really good at hitting the gas. Do. Yeah. What we need help with, most of us, is learning to tap the brakes. Because the stress response system is not meant to go on and stay on. It's meant to go on, off, on, off, on, off. And, in this situation, we need to work harder than ever, which is why I'm so passionate about getting the tools out there, that we need to find ways to relax and calm down.
Yep.
Because we're torturing our bodies, we're torturing our mind by staying in that hypervigilant, that on position. So, part of it is learning the best way you can get that parasympathetic nervous system into effect is breathe deeply, focus on the exhale out longer than you inhale, throw some visualization in there. When you inhale through the nose, imagine you're inhaling white light. Whatever you need in the moment is in that white light.
Okay.
Peace, calm, love. When you're breathing out, breathe out black smoke. Whatever you don't need or isn't serving you is in that black smoke. Anger, stress, fear, and so on. And there's a bunch more to it. There's, mindfulness so that you can be aware of your physiology in the moment. And there's a whole bunch to that right there. But if you're not aware of what's going on in your body in the moment, what typically happens, what I've heard from hundreds of clients, is you get angry like that.
Yeah. And
then you kind of wake up later and you're like, holy shit, who put the hole in the wall?
Yeah.
And you almost, because I've had clients that almost black out when they get angry. But I think, if you think of anger intensity on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being calm, 10 being Incredible Hulk, you have to get on your anger before you hit a 5 on that scale. So when you're a little bit frustrated, when you're a little bit annoyed, when you're a little bit irritated, because if you get beyond that 5, you become anger.
I agree.
And then you have no chance of reining it in. Because it feels good. It's intoxicating. It's addictive when you get to that point.
Well, because it feels more powerful than sadness.
Yeah.
By the way, did you like my little Incredible Hulk graphic about our?
I did. I'm a superhero geek.
So am I. We've discussed this. So am
Yeah.
I. I still think Green Lantern's the best because anything you envision can come true. But I am also a huge
comic
Hulk
book
fan.
or the movie? Don't even say the
Neither.
movie.
No, not the movie. The
Okay.
idea of
That
the
was it.
superhero.
Yeah, that was almost the end of our relationship.
Jesus Christ, thank God. Yeah.
No pressure.
We'll have to do when all the pandemic panic ends, we'll have to do an episode on superheroes because they're fascinating.
Okay.
Okay.
That'd be
Tell us again, because I want to write it down, where we can find you and how people can sign up for these helpful classes, helpful and discounted.
Okay, so the one is guide2self.com. That's kind of my coaching site. So it's
I know it always confuses me when I'm looking for your
GUITOSELF.com.
Did you actually just spell out guide?
8th grade reading level.
Okay.
So the other side is the Evolved Caveman, and that's more about my podcast. There's one web, Anger Management, but they all lead to the same store. So
okay, so we're gonna go with Guide to Self because I've already mentioned your podcast because it's amazing, and thank you. And
wait, what's the name of your book again?
Oh, thank you for asking. It's 10 Steps to Finding Happy. You can find it in e format, Kindle format. I'm sorry, I like books, so I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I want a real book these days. I tried the Kindle version.
If you like holding electronic devices, you can. It's available by there. You can find it on Amazon and also Barnes and Noble.
You know what I really like about books?
Everything.
Which is kind of weird.
What?
Smell.
That's not weird at all. I talk about that all the time. I talk about that all the time. That is so weird. It's weird that you think it's weird because I talk about that all the time. It's a bit. Did you steal that from me?
No.
I don't know. Maybe you.
If I did, maybe I did and I forgot. I don't know.
I don't know. I love this.
My memory's not what it used to be.
And I'm like literally, I have like my secret woman, bank account, and I'm like secretly ordering books for myself and the kids off of that.
You have more books than you can read? Do you have a stack of books by your bed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, some are for research for my next book topic, wink, wink. And then some are for pleasure. There's a book, The Silent Patient, that was highly recommended to me because I always say not always, but like now every time I meet with a new patient and I like run through the routine of homicidality and suicidality, and like, the whole
two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, but the whole like mini mental status, I always act disappointed when they say they're not homicidal, and then I make a joke. I'm like, I've always wanted a homicidal patient, which is kind of true at this point, or multiple personality disorder. So, anyways,
I don't know. I had a patient come in once that said, like, presented completely textbook. Dissociative identity.
So what happened? But fine, whatever. I don't care. Yeah, but so what happened? So,
I worked with him for a year and a half. After about 9 months, it all went away.
Funny story. The only patient I've ever
I think he was posing.
Okay, so the only patient I ever had that came in with a diagnosis like 8 years old of dissociative identity disorder, which for anyone that's still listening is multiple personality disorder.
They're all listening. What are you talking about?
I know. She's Asperger's, and she was just diagnosed too late in life. And so some dumbass hospital misdiagnosed her. But so The Silent Patient has been recommended to me, and something From the Woods or Under the Woods or Into the Woods. I don't know. There's apparently now a show on Showtime called The Dublin Murders based on it, but that's what I'm reading right now.
So how many people do you think we offended?
54.
Based on your emails.
54. At least 54. I mean, certainly 2 that I read their shit online.
Well, it's funny because to me, you can't talk about this stuff without offending somebody.
But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. Well, the goal is to split the audience.
The goal is to remind people that it's okay to have feelings, no matter what, where they fall on the range.
Yeah. Yeah. And that we've all got dark, scary spots in our minds, and that's normal.
I know. Guys, you can find John on the Evolved Caveman on Instagram and everywhere else that we mentioned. And thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.